That's another ADHD. Oh my god.
ADHD.
Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
The atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand.
It is our basic human right to be forgot.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Put chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Occultae Veritatis.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Occultae Veritatis. I am Sage Murray.
Ooh, Gallifrey.
Leon Filger.
Joining us in studio.
Leon's mom.
What's your real name?
Genevieve. Jenny. You can call me Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah.
And?
Kay.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So before we get to start, we've already started drinking, apparently. So let's go into what's your poison?
So, what's your poison?
Yeah. So this was in the bargain bin of the.
Yeah, I'll bet it was.
It's vodka and fizzy water with some grapefruit flavoring.
Oh, that would be my ultimate drink. I love sparkling water.
Me too. I love sparkling water. I have
to try it.
I can't.
Not even a sip.
Nope. Then I got to start my 30 days all over again.
Oh no. Okay, fine. I won't push.
Okay.
I probably would if I was sitting next to you because I'm a terrible person.
This is almost not worth the alcohol within it.
No, it's good. Not. This is what I like to drink. I love water and I love fizzy water. Like I have a soda stream and I use it all the time.
This tastes like the shit that comes out of a soda stream.
And it's not sweet.
100%
That's what's
would
different.
Drink it then.
It feels like it doesn't want to be drank by me.
No.
Like it's fighting against it.
Oh no.
Okay, well I love it. So
it feels unconsensual.
Well, Ood, if you ever come across them again, purchase them and then give them to me.
Yep.
Okay.
And Sage.
My problem with this is that there's not enough alcohol in it to be alcohol, and there's not enough grapefruit in it to be grapefruit.
It's 5%. It's not.
I can't feel any
Same as a
alcohol
beer.
in it.
Yeah, it's the same as a beer.
It's shit.
Well,
you're shit.
Holy.
Wow, that was aggressive.
I know. I'm sorry.
Throw the smackdown.
This is neutral.
It's probably like neutral.
Nutteral.
Vodka soda pamplemousse.
The two dots over
Yeah,
the U
I know,
make it
it's
a hard U.
Yeah.
Neutral.
What I like about it, as opposed to other sweet vodka-based or even malt-based liquors in a can, is that it's not sweet. Usually with the others, I have one and go, oh, wow, is that good? But I could never have another one because it's so nauseatingly sweet. This isn't. So one could probably rip through a six-pack pretty easy.
Well, I could.
I could too.
Oh, and also, we're smoking LA Confidential.
We are?
Yes.
But I'm not because I am not allowed to smoke pot right now.
Okay, yeah, test period, eh? Yep. You gotta be clean. Sorry, I'm smoking LA Confidential.
I'm not because I'm old. No one's offered it to me.
You can if you want. So I would give this probably like a 10 out of 10 because it's exactly what I would like to drink.
Oh, boy.
I love it.
Honest to God, 10 out of 10? Are you insane?
It's so good. I don't like sweet drinks.
I'll go with a 7 if I had the beach in front of me.
Oh, yeah, the beach would, yeah. It'd be like 11 out of 10.
I was going to say the beach just throws it to 11.
Yeah,
true.
That would be nice. But this is really good. Like, I love grapefruit, and I don't like sweet.
You hold it. There you go.
I hear some bubbly going on.
There we go.
There you go.
You'll be good and cooked for my episode. There's a lot of math involved.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, for not being able to taste it, but knowing my preference, I would assume that it would be really good.
I bet that you would love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally like SodaStream bubbly water with like a little bit of like delicious grapefruit flavor, and then like the tiny bit of vodka.
Oh,
taste.
so it's like the Perrier grapefruit with vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I
Awesome.
say, it's not sweet at all. It's very light and refreshing.
like you could just pound it.
A limp dick vodka beverage.
You're a limp dick vodka beverage.
I have to agree. I used to work at Dairy Queen. This is what the sodas tasted like when the syrup ran out.
Right. That's exactly
Yes.
it.
Yes.
That's exactly it.
Bleh.
Kill, apparently I water down my juice. Like I'm like a toddler.
I don't drink juice, so
Yeah, well we have juice at our house because I have a 4-year-old.
I have prune juice at my house because I'm chronically constipated.
And I will give it. I
constipated.
will give it a 1 out of 10. And 1 out of 10 is enough for me to keep on drinking it because there's alcohol within it. So.
Okay, well.
I'm rating it a 0 because
I hate you.
It's just supposed to be alcohol, and this is clearly not that.
There
so
is. Just drink it really fast.
not worth rating.
Actually, don't drink it really fast. You have to drive me home.
In 2013, the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders was published. Many diagnoses and conditions were affected by these changes, and in particular, the categorization and criteria for autism was revised. In DSM-4, pervasive developmental disorder was the broad umbrella term, which included autistic disorder. Now in DSM-5, these PDD diagnoses were combined into a single category called autism spectrum disorder. In addition, 3 clinical domains were collapsed into 2 domains so that deficits in social interaction and social communication are one, and the second is restricted repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, and activities. The goals of these changes are to improve the diagnostic process and making a diagnosis for physicians, psychologists, psychiatrists. As with many psychiatric conditions, it is important to screen early for autism and to make a prompt diagnosis. Pediatricians are recommended to screen for developmental issues and early signs of autism at 18 and 24 months of age. Parents are asked to complete questionnaires about their child's behavior. The goal of this early screening and diagnosis is to lead to early intervention.
So my episode today is on autism, women, and mental wellness. So autism is on a kind of a spectrum, which means there's an incredibly diverse set of symptoms. No 2 people with autism spectrum disorder are exactly the same.
Yeah.
It kind of goes on a continuum of high functioning and low functioning, and people with ASD fall somewhere on that scale. So I worked with my wonderful friend and also a listener whose name is PJ, and she lives in Australia, and she has ASD. So she helped me with my research and kind of steered me in the right direction and stuff because I don't have experience with, I don't personally have autism. So some stats, kind of the boring stuff. So 1 in 59 children have been identified as having autism spectrum disorder, and all these stats are from the CDC.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's fairly prevalent. Like it's a prevalent condition.
Yeah, majority of kids go undiagnosed until their teen years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get into that.
We're damned.
It's reported in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups. So it's not just in one certain tiny part of the population. It's kind of across everything.
Sage.
Yep.
Do vaccines cause autism?
They do not. You heard it here. They do not cause autism.
Good to know.
Fuck Andrew Wakefield.
Fuck Andrew Wakefield. Can I do a little insert about Andrew Wakefield?
Yeah, do it.
Andrew Wakefield was this crackpot doctor who, for never mind his reasons, he lied in a really small study that had nothing to do with it and confirmation bias and said vaccines are linked to autism, and then everyone believed it, and then Jenny McCarthy and blubbity blah, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Tenpenny,
and now people aren't vaccinating their kids, and that's why fucking measles have killed 3 people in Saskatchewan in the last.
Vaccinate your kids.
Vaccinate your fucking kids.
The World Health Organization put out a top 10 threats list for the next 10 years.
And anti-vaxxers were number what?
Yep. Number 10.
Number 10, yeah.
Number 10.
Yep. So vaccinate your kids.
Yeah.
Autism is 4 times more common in boys. There's an 83% of co-occurrence with other developmental, psychiatric, neurologic, chromosomal, and genetic diagnoses. And the co-occurrence of psych disorders, 1 or more, is 10%. If you have autism, you're likely to have another condition at the same time.
A comorbidity, if you will.
Comorbidity.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was a study in 2018 that correlated autism with opioids prescribed just before pregnancy, which is kind of interesting. And there was a study about time between pregnancies in 2017. So they're kind of trying to nail down like the best spacing to have if you want to have more than one kid.
That's some epigenetic stuff, like some stuff that affects like gene development and all.
I found that on the CDC site, so it's pretty recent. So when I was working with PJ, she mentioned that she wasn't diagnosed until she was 21 years old.
Oh boy.
So this is largely in part due to something quite common with women on the spectrum, which is called camouflaging.
Some of the coping mechanisms for me to fit in is quite often this masking thing and pretending to be somebody else, this chameleon factor. Because we want to try and fit in with the group and society in general, so if I'm with a bright and bubbly person, I will try to be funny. The more information we have, the more we can change with our surroundings with us, the more we tend to get accepted because we know something to communicate with someone else.
She looks like she's managing and she looks happy and social, but it's all on the surface. You scratch it, the veneer, it's based on mimicry, and that's the thing that distinguishes the girls from the boys. She fitted every category, there was no doubt about it. It wasn't a slim margin or anything. She was full on, had Asperger's, which is now called ASD too.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. I don't really mind. At first I did think I'm different and this is bad, but after a little while I realised that I'm same as everybody, I just act a different way and it's fine that I'm different.
So some women have described camouflaging as looking at the spot like right between your eyes instead of at your eyes, because lots of people on the spectrum are not comfortable with looking you directly in the eye.
Weird.
They tap their feet. They force themselves to stop doing things that their parents find odd, like stimming. So I'll get into that a little bit later. So basically, a lot of women will shut down behaviors that maybe make them feel better in favor of fitting in. They practice how to act, correct their posture. It's a constant and elaborate effort. So these women are constantly thinking about, how do I appear normal? How do I appear not autism-y or weird or odd or whatever? So it takes a great mental toll. Most girls who are diagnosed young exhibit extreme traits. So girls that maybe are nonverbal, who are very, very obvious with not looking you in the eye, extreme obsessions like violent stimming, maybe head banging, like the big autism ones. And most intelligent girls are not diagnosed until adulthood with autism. Men camouflage too, but not nearly as much as women and girls. So that's basically who I'll be talking about for this episode. Autism looks different in girls. Boys tend to be overactive and misbehave, and girls tend to be anxious and depressed. So often it can go undiagnosed. In a study of the interactions of 48 girls and 48 boys who are aged 7 to 8, half of each group with autism diagnosis, they discovered that the boys tended to play by themselves, kind of off to the side, while the girls tended to stay close to the other girls, weaving in and out of activities. So clinicians and teachers are trained to look for social isolation as an identifying factor to flag kids for screening. So using just this criteria shows that many girls would be missed in early detection of autism.
I have a friend, her daughter has been diagnosed. Her daughter's only 4, but she's lower functioning autism.
Right.
And she had to fight tooth and nail to get this diagnosis and the proper care that her daughter needs for school and having an EA and all those things. And unfortunately, one of her classmates is undiagnosed at this point. And he doesn't have the support. He doesn't have the EA. And he's going to be one that falls through the cracks simply because our medical system refuses to diagnose early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you can get diagnoses. I'll talk about this later. I worked with autistic kids. You can have diagnosed as early as 2, but oftentimes kids don't get diagnosed until they're much older.
And once they're diagnosed, the support's tricky to find. Like Mrs. Leon Filger's coworker has got 2 autistic sons. And if it weren't for the fact that she was a professor at the U of S and made tons of money, she'd be totally fucked because there's just not enough support from the government. You need a full-time caregiver for 2 kids, and that's just not funded.
No, it's not fair either.
It's hard to work your full-time job when you have a full-time job at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So boys and girls tend to interact differently. Boys often play sports, and girls tend to talk and kind of develop more intimate relationships. So in the study that I just previously mentioned, the typical girls, like the neurotypical girls, the girls who are not diagnosed with autism, would flit from group to group. The autistic girls appeared to do the same thing, but investigators learned that they were actually being rejected from the groups, but would persist or try to join another group. Girls may be more motivated to fit in than the boys are, so they work harder at it. So they kind of develop that masking earlier on to fit in. They would often feign interest in popular culture or music to fit in and be more accepted by their peers. Even when teachers do flag girls for an autism evaluation, the standard diagnostic measures often fail to pick up on their autism. It's not conducive to the different ways that autism spectrum disorder presents, and it was in fact designed to find boys with autism. That's why only a quarter of the people that are diagnosed with autism are girls, because the diagnostic measures were designed specifically for boys.
You know what this reminds me of? There's also a big stigma against men being able to be diagnosed with eating disorders.
Yeah, it's like that, but like reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also, I was just diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. So, like, I'm almost 32 years old. I suspected it in the back of my brain for a long time that I probably had ASD. Oh my God.
ADHD. I could have fucking told you that.
I know. When I told Leon that, I was like, I think I'm going to talk to my doctor about maybe having ADHD. He's like, yes, I know.
Yes, I know. I have it. And yes, you do.
And Dan West, if you're thinking you're old, mind you, you're talking about mostly men are diagnosed anyway. But Dan West is well into his 60s and was just diagnosed with ADHD. There were lots of other things that he was labeled with, but finally the diagnosis and therefore the treatment comes.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like, I just got put on Concerta,
methylphenidate.
Yeah, which is like a long-acting
version of Ritalin.
Yeah. So it basically, like, you take one pill in the morning and then it just kind of...
Do you take it along with a tab of methyltrimeprazine?
Okay. I just take the Ritalin and then my citalopram.
Because I was on Ritalin and Concerta for a while, and it wasn't as effective as I'd hoped it would be. So they switched me onto Dexedrine and Vyvanse, which is the long-acting Dexedrine, and things have been pretty good. And I know Dan West, who's sitting beside me, is on Adderall, and I imagine that's working pretty good for you. Yeah, he says that.
And your sister, is she still on Ritalin? Because that's what she was.
Yeah, she was on Ritalin too.
Always on.
Yeah, fucking Ritalin for everyone. It's great.
Yeah, it was like, I have been on it for literally 2 days.
And you already look like more simmered down.
Yes, and I feel more simmered down.
You're less sexually violent than you usually are.
Well, and also, like, when
Every recording.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I'm going to fuck you in the ear. What? What? Calm yourself.
I can't. But apparently I can now. Like,
well, that's the thing. You can. You get the moment or two to think before you act.
Yes, and I was able to just do the thing.
They should make earplugs that look like tiny dildos.
Oh, I'd buy those.
Yeah.
So ADHD is another disorder that often is missed with women.
Sage, can I tell you that you are the most organized I've ever seen you?
Thank you. Really? That's amazing.
Yes.
I feel pretty disorganized.
Just an addendum to your disorder misdiagnosis or lack of diagnosis. All mental health has been that way historically. And now with the awareness and the like the Bell Let's Talk Day and things like that, it's so...
Don't get me
We have
started
opinions about Bell Let's
on the Bell Let's Talk.
I understand, and the premise behind it is selfish for sure, but the fact that at least they started somewhere,
Yeah.
I will give them that credit.
It's better than a kick in the ass.
It's better than a
I
kick in
worked
the
for
ass.
44 years for Bell, so, I have a little problem with that. Oops, did I say that?
So oftentimes kids, as a masking technique, will suppress repetitive behaviors. They don't talk about obsessive interests. They pretend to follow conversations and imitate their peers' behaviors, whether or not they're actually interested in it or even understand what's going on. They just kind of learn a way to blend in. And as adults, I read an article where the adults have described practicing smiling in the mirror before they have to meet people. They develop. So do I.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
I do that before photo day.
You often have photo day.
Nothing in your
not
teeth.
anymore.
Then.
I guess I shouldn't. I haven't had photo day in a while. I used to practice for photo day.
They developed different personas for different audiences. So they kind of develop different ways to behave around different sets of peer groups. They study other people's gestures or phrases that seem to project confidence and practice them in the mirror. So they kind of develop this, to quote this stupid band called Children of Bodom, a mask of sanity, right? So they kind of present that outward when maybe they're feeling different inside. So there's different ways to camouflage stimming, which is often noticed as like flapping your hands, spinning around, banging your head, or like picking and scratching. Stims are basically ways people with ASD, they kind of develop to feel comfort and to ward off anxiety. So often people will learn to redirect their energy into less visible muscle movement, like clenching your teeth or tensing and relaxing your muscles. They try to stim in more socially acceptable ways, like tapping a pen or just doodling, instead of like flapping your hands and banging your head. So obviously a big cost of this masking is that women don't get diagnosed until much later than their male peers, because like I said, boys tend to get diagnosed on a much higher rate than girls do.
And working this hard to appear normal, it seems like being diagnosed would be like a nightmare to them.
But lots of people who get diagnosed like in their 30s or 40s are like, I wish I had known about my diagnosis, because then maybe I would have received more support and been more successful in school and been able to explore who I actually am instead of who this outward contrived persona is. And another cost is mental health. So I mentioned before PJ, who helped me with this episode, she was diagnosed when she was 21. And before that, she was incorrectly diagnosed with bipolar disorder and put on some harsh antipsychotic meds like risperidone and Zoloft.
Zoloft is a bitch.
Yeah, so she was on that and she didn't need it. She wasn't bipolar. She had autism. But she didn't get diagnosed until she was 21. It's still very hard for folks with autism to find a doctor who will treat any concurrent mental health issues when you aren't a child. The research and the development just isn't quite there yet. Many don't understand that certain pieces of your behavior are part of your autism diagnosis and not your mental wellness issue, and vice versa. So there just isn't quite, like I said, the awareness there. So another thing that I wanted to mention is the whole Autism Speaks movement and my involvement with it. So basically, Autism Speaks, they kind of want to cure autism instead of accepting that autistic kids exist and it's just a different way of being. So I worked at an autism center in Vancouver, and I used ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is basically like training a dog with a clicker. We would have kids in the center and we would go one-on-one with them. And every time they did a correct thing, like not an autism thing, like a neurotypical thing, we would give them praise or a toy to play with or whatever. So we would reinforce those behaviors that aren't autism-y.
So you would reinforce masking behaviors.
Yep, exactly.
Which long-term delay diagnosis.
Yeah.
Counterproductive.
I didn't know better at the time. I was like, oh shit, I need a job. Sure, I like working with kids. Fantastic. But when I got out, I kind of read more about the whole Autism Speaks and the ABA controversy. Ugh. Controversy.
This is just bonkers. You like this? They actually did this.
Yeah, it's literally like like training a dog with a clicker.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, so you'd say, touch A, and if they touched A, you'd be like, yay, good job, that's so amazing, you're so smart.
Was it effective? Like,
they became more normal,
I don't know.
in air quotes.
Huh.
Like, it felt like, even when I was doing it, it felt kind of yucky, because they were just kids. Like, they were under 5 years old, between 18 months and 5, and we'd work one-on-one with them for at least an hour. And every time they shared, we would have a party when they shared with another kid, or when they said thank you, we would have a party. Or when you asked them, how are you? And they'd said, I'm good, you'd have a party, because that's a normal thing, a normal response that you would give.
That feels absurd.
Right?
Is it?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's
No, it is. And I'm like thinking back on it now, like, I'm not proud of my involvement in it. And I know that the greater part of the autistic community is not on board with Autism Speaks or ABA. And PJ even told me that she was not on board with Autism Speaks or ABA. So I just want to come clean about my involvement in it. And I'm sorry if I caused any damage. I met lots of really awesome kids, and I didn't feel quite comfortable with what I was doing, but they were the experts, right?
It's similar. It's similar to like instead of treating a person with schizophrenia with drugs to help them with the hallucinations, you just train them to not talk about the hallucinations.
Yeah.
That's the incarnation of Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like if you just tell them, don't talk about your hallucinations, like don't talk about your stuff, like don't tell anybody about it.
Pretend to be normal.
Yeah. It's dealing with a symptom and not the disease. Like it's treating a runny nose, but it's not helping anything.
Yeah. Well, like, what is normal?
Yeah.
And Sage, to further your point, like when you know better, you do better, and you did. It's not like you knew better and continued to do it.
No, I definitely did not, and I'm sorry for my involvement to any listeners.
That's crazy.
I know.
Holy shit, hey?
Yeah, you would literally be like, yay, you said thank you! Woo! Like, it's like training a dog. It's how you train your dog to piss outside.
That's bizarre. Wow.
And I get out on that surface how people can see it as a good thing, because the parents see like a child that's acting more neurotypical. But like, imagine the internal struggle that kid.
You're like, this is what I need to do. When someone says, "How are you?" I say, "I'm fine."
Yeah,
and that's good.
Give me a treat.
Yeah.
But
because it's not like, because a dog doesn't think that shit. A dog doesn't think, if I do this, it's a ding-dong K treat.
Mm-hmm.
A person has the ability to think, I am responding to this for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ethics of
and
that
that's
incredible.
their reality then is.
When people think of a disease, they think of something that is degenerative and that will hurt you and kill you. Autism is not a disease. It is a developmental disability. It's about living our best possible lives with this condition.
I don't know, I always get the you don't look autistic thing. Autism is like an internal thing, not an external thing. No one looks autistic.
When people find that out, the first thing they're like, you don't act autistic. And I'm like, I had to go through a lot of stuff to learn how to mask my idiosyncrasies.
Autism isn't a linear spectrum of high or low. It's a whole bunch of different traits that are on their own spectrums. That's kind of a 3D weird mess.
Autism is simply a different way of thinking and seeing and interacting with one's world. I view autism as realness.
I definitely would disagree with the idea that we're not emotional. I think we're actually highly emotional. I think that many times we don't express it the way that people expect.
I like the comparison to Vulcans. In Star Trek, lore, the Vulcans feel more strongly than humans. They just, don't show it.
We're feeling it. It's there. It just might not come out. And then other times, it might be overly expressed.
I mean, sometimes, we'll cry. I mean, that might be at, weird moments. I mean, you might think they're weird. I don't think they're weird.
It can be so overwhelming, so intense that in order to function, you kind of have to sort of be still or shut down a bit.
We can't filter them out because we feel them so strongly, so we shut down as a way of processing all those emotions.
It takes a lot of effort to appear the way I do right now. It takes a lot of conscious awareness. Social skills are like a muscle for us.
People will often say to me, "Oh, you're so high functioning, I would never know you had autism unless you said something." And I say, well, you don't live inside my skin, and you don't know how hard it is for me sometimes just to get through a day.
It's very, very draining. You know, even with people that I care for or enjoy being around, I have to psych myself up to be around them.
All the little things that everyone does unconsciously, autistic people do manually, so that adds up. What I'm doing with every part of my body, I am to some degree aware of and trying to do.
A lot of women that I know who are autistic are not diagnosed until their 20s, 30s, or even beyond. A large part of this is because the way that we diagnose autism is by using criteria that were created observing boys. And autism looks different in girls and women than it does in boys.
People don't expect to see someone that looks like me or my two youngest children who are on the spectrum also. We know that anyone can, be on the spectrum.
I didn't become aware of Asperger's until I was already an adult. At the time, finding a doctor was really difficult because there were people that were like, oh, women don't have that. And then there were other people that were like, well, you're too high functioning.
I was in my early 30s when I was diagnosed myself. After my children were, I don't think I would have been otherwise. Women are underdiagnosed, Black women especially, and I think there's also this idea of, the strong Black woman, you kind of have to hold down the family and be able to just keep going and not address, your, whatever needs that you have, your support needs, not prioritize self-care.
Well, and the fact that girls don't get diagnosed because they actively self-correct, even quote-unquote normal girls spend majority of their childhood self-correcting behavior to be accepted.
Yeah.
Like even like I am not officially diagnosed with anything. I have anxiety, but the fact that I spent majority of my childhood self-correcting my behavior to be accepted.
Or to be perceived as normal.
A ridiculous amount of effort that I've put in, not including the diet culture and the media culture that goes into that as well. That is a self-correcting behavior. You're like, oh, I can't eat this because, oh, I can't do that because
it's bad.
I must exercise because I feel lazy because, and those thoughts that constantly are just going.
Yeah.
Is such a large part of my upbringing.
Well, and imagine having that be trying to correct who you are internally as a person.
Sage, I got to say, this is, I think, your most fucked up episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's fucking weird. I feel very odd now.
It's very scary.
I can have a fun bit of trivia. So people with autism, they often have as a comorbidity gastrointestinal problems.
Oh yeah, with the whole no candida diet. That's what lots of my kids had.
Yeah. Ferrets.
This is what?
No candida, a byproduct of wheat, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's because in humans, the genes that cause autism and the genes that cause gastrointestinal problems are very close together, so they're often associated.
Yeah, well, we had kids that could not shit.
Yeah.
I cannot shit.
One of my ferrets is autistic.
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
Leon's mom can shit just fine.
No, I can shit. It should be hereditary. Take after your father.
Yeah.
I have not had a shit, quote unquote, on my own this year. It's all been with laxatives.
No, but prune juice isn't a laxative.
No, but I've taken laxatives on top of the prune juice. What I did find out the other day, though, is the Fleet Enema?
Yeah.
The cap is removable. You can refill it. You don't have to buy a new one every time.
Really, you can put your own...
Just keep squirting up your ass every time.
And what, do you just put water in it?
I've just been using warm tap water. Feels great.
Oh, well, good for you.
I feel nice and warm.
I've never had an enema.
Yeah.
You need to. You really need to. It's incredible.
Ferret autism has a comorbidity with deafness. So my autistic ferret is deaf because most ferrets that are autistic are also deaf.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's a whole sad thing.
Oh yeah.
A fleet is a treat.
A fleet is a treat.
Excuse me, Leon. When you were a child, I remember doing that fleet thing, and you'd say as a joy?
Yeah.
I remember the bathroom floor. I remember the bath mat. I remember the fleet enema, and I remember you. It was not a good thing. You could fleet, and what was your slogan now? Fleet
as a treat. Fleet's a treat.
I don't think you thought that.
Well, I definitely do now. I cannot wait until I have some alone time. A lot of I want to get some alone time. I'm going to jerk off to some exciting porn. No, I'm going to put some water in my ass. It's going to be fucking incredible.
I know my
To
first.
each their own.
That's what I do when I'm home
whatever
alone.
floats your boat.
I know my first enemy's coming, but I never want to encounter
I'll
it.
give it to you, man. It's incredible.
Oh, this is not good.
Yes, if we get to 900 patrons.
Okay, no, wait. Put your money there.
Okay.
If we get to 900 patrons, I'm giving you a fleet enema.
Holy fuck.
Do it.
Do it.
Will you be gentle?
Let's go, listeners.
Obviously. Do you know how many fleet enemas I've given in my life?
He's a
I've
professional.
been carried for 7.5 years. Thousands of fleets I've given.
I trust
and like
you.
at least half of those were me.
I trust you. Will the relationship between us when you're like staring straight into my asshole?
No, it'll deepen.
Okay, I like that.
It's like the abyss.
I'm excited. I'm excited to have you deeper inside me.
Okay, I'll do it.
900 patrons.
900 patrons.
900 patrons.
Get on it, guys. Fucking tell your friends.
P.S. No one's touching my ass.
Yeah.
1,000 patrons.
Fine, 1,000
Sage
patrons.
is getting a fleet.
1,000 patrons and Leon can stick something in my butt.
Oh, gee, no.
I'm already going to eat his semen.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Pancakes. Okay, I've got to. We're still recording your autism episode right now,
Yeah.
so I'm going to interject again.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I was 14, I could come a bucket a day.
Oh, do I need to hear this, dear?
Your mother is
Hold
here.
on. You knew I was doing it. Sheets are all fucking dirty all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. How'd the sheets get crusty again? Oh,
Those socks are standing on the road.
yeah, pretty well. No. So like I had said on the last recording session that for a poison I was going to make some cum cakes. I'm going to make a set of like chocolate cupcakes full of my semen. And the way it would work is I already bought it. It's devil's food cake. It really is the devil's food.
Have you been eating pineapple like you promised?
I have been. I've been drinking pineapple juice.
Okay.
A lot.
Does that make it taste
Not as
different?
effective.
Yeah,
There's
it
too
makes
much
it taste
sugar
better
in
if you eat less meat.
I haven't been
More
eating any meat.
pineapple, less meat.
More pineapple. Okay,
Pineapple for you,
Dan
sir.
West is on it.
So anyway, I got a devil's food cake recipe that calls for 3 eggs, and the way it works is you go for 2 eggs and 1 fluid ounce of semen. And I've been jerking off every day trying to fill this fucking cup, and I've got a line on the side.
I'm humming to myself.
A line on the side of it, and honest to God, like I'm coming nothing every day. There's nothing in there.
Maybe you should wait a day.
I am dry.
Yeah,
So
maybe
anyway,
wait for it to like build up. I don't know
it doesn't
how it
work
works.
like that. No, the more often you masturbate, the more it starts to pick up. I haven't been jerking off for months.
That makes sense.
So now, like every day now, trying to pound it out, it's getting better. But man, and it doesn't help that like I keep the cup in the freezer. So every time I need to fill it, I take it out, blow another load into it, back into the freezer. But it's cold on my penis. So there's nothing worse than like just about to come and now like ice cold cup on your
You need
dick.
to come up with a room temperature lube.
Talk about a cold shower.
Use a warm cup and then add it to the frozen one.
But then you're wasting.
You're
So you gotta
wasting.
like scrape
You
it
gotta scrape
out.
it
Get
out.
a rubber scraper.
I'm
Yeah,
not bringing-
get one of those little spatulas.
Yeah,
See,
that's what I meant.
I'll buy you a little spatula.
A glob of semen travels much like a snail, where it'll leave a trail of slime wherever it goes, and it'll reduce the size of. So you got to make sure the.
I can't believe I'm participating in
At
this.
any rate, I'm about a third of the way there. So in 3 weeks when we record again, there'll be cum cakes.
Oh, fantastic. I'm
Is there a
so
subject in 3 weeks that I might be able to, be of value to attend?
Yeah, you can tell us how good the cum cakes are.
Okay, we'll come there and I'll analyze that.
You
We'll
do
come-
have a
We'll come there and I'll analyze it. Yes.
you do have a dick candle.
I don't own that
Anymore. What happened to it?
You didn't leave it for me. You and Bigley
Richard Bigley
took it.
What the fuck,
Away from
Leon?
me.
Where is it? I don't have it.
Ask Mr. Bigley.
Oh man!
I bet he has it. I bet it's like in his bedroom.
After he gave it to me and I had to identify what it was by
So let's tell Kay what happened here.
Yeah, I'm lost.
She's confused.
Some years ago, never mind how many in particular.
And this has to do with ADHD.
It has everything to do with ADHD. I got one of those Clonabone kits. I don't know if I bought it myself or someone gave it to me, but I ended up with it. So you take a 2-liter pop bottle, you cut the top off, you fill it up with alginate, which is an algae.
I never knew how you made that.
I know what that is.
Yeah. I worked in a dental lab. I used it all the time. And then you get a hard-on and stick it in the pop bottle, and alginate hardens in like a minute, right? So you don't have to keep it up that long.
Oh, good.
Sticking it and
I'm so relieved.
And alginate you can mix up really warm, so it's not like trying to fuck the gap between the box spring and the mattress. It's
Which we've talked about and has been a successful endeavor for you.
Successful endeavor.
Yes.
Box spring in the mattress.
Box spring in the mattress.
Yeah, so if you ever try to pull those apart and they're sticky, you know why.
Yeah.
I probably have.
It's like pulling apart the 2 halves of grilled cheese sandwich.
Gross. Ew, no.
So anyway, once you're done casting your dick, you've got about 2 hours before the alginate starts to dehydrate and turns into shit again. And I had one of
Casting your dick is the name of my new, like, Anya type band where they just like sing like,
okay.
Casting my dick.
Your dick.
Yep. Casting my dick.
So once you've casted your dick, you've cloned your bone, if you will. You have two options. One is you can put in this like
let's be inclusive. Match the snatch.
Yep, a silicone rubber stuff, and it even comes with a vibrating bullet that you can cram in the ball end of it. And I said no, I won't. No, I am not doing that. I got a box of soy-based wax.
I'm making a candle for my mom.
Candle wick, and I made a dick candle of my own dick, and I gave it to my mother. And apparently, Richard Bigley stole it, and now has it in his bedroom.
No, seriously. When you and Richard Bigley came to my house,
I lived there at the time.
And when Richard Bigley joined us at our house, he sat me down at the dining room table of all places and maybe did he blindfold me or something? Because I remember
that wouldn't surprise me.
I remember being handed something that I had to identify with just my hands, and it was like this veiny kind of lumpy thing.
Veiny and lumpy, Leon Filger's dick. You've heard it here first.
And then when I saw what it was like all of a sudden discovering something absolutely horrid, and I think I screamed and threw it in the air. I mean, it was like when my brother brought a crayfish home from his pharmacy class and put it in my bed, and I was playing with it with my feet, and when I discovered it, I just went crazy. So here I am at my own dining room table being totally startled
by your son's
and not
candle dick.
Actually being even more stupid than that. I'm very naive. I really didn't know even what it was when I first looked at it.
You're so sweet. I love you.
And I went, this isn't. Oh my God, that's what it is.
I'm way on the other side of the spectrum. I think things that aren't dicks are dicks all the time.
Dicks are everywhere.
Things that aren't dicks that are dicks. My grandma bought this plate one time, and it was a palm tree. But clearly the trunk of the palm tree was a penis.
It was totally a dick.
It was a dick. And my grandma bought this beautiful plate, and she was so proud of it. So she had it displayed at Christmas. And all my aunts and uncles came over, and everybody's looking at this plate.
Damn, Grandma, that's a dick plate.
Yeah, everybody's kind of looking at each other, and everybody's like, does that look like a dick to you? And so now this plate has been traveling from house to house, and you got to pass the penis plate along every time everyone gets together.
That's a good family tradition.
Yeah.
I like that.
So when you first held the dick candle, did you know whose dick it was? At what point did you find out?
I think it was Richard Bigley's reaction to me. Like you were
giggling maniacally.
You were just. I'm not sure what you were doing, but I remember him, and he was just like laughing his frickin' face off at me. Just crazy. So you think he's got it now?
I don't have it. I did
well,
not.
I don't have it. I never had it. It was somebody took it away that night.
Well, it wasn't me. I don't have it.
Okay, then he owns it somewhere.
That's
in his bedroom. That doesn't surprise me. He sent in your dick for our dick pic cosplay.
Did you hear about that?
No.
The dick cosplay contest. He sent in my dick.
Coming back October 2019.
I sent him a dick pic, and then he sent it to the podcast.
And they were laughing while we were looking at it, and we didn't rate it very high.
No, you didn't.
Well, you know what? You know what, Leon? Sometimes you should just keep your dick pics to yourself.
That's fair.
Occultae Veritatis podcast.
Love you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, another great episode from Sage. Thank you very much for diving into it. Important to cover issues like this because these are things that people encounter and that people experience and that people have in their lives of their own experience, and not enough people know the details about it, so I'm glad that she picked this to dive into. So, to play us out, the song Sex, Money, and Power by the band Atomic Motel. Enjoy and see you all in the after show.
Think it's all about sex.
can't let it go. One thing about people like you, games to play, the things that you do, it'll all be washed away. And in time, what you think it's all about, you better find out. You just act like you know. Think it's all about sex, money, power. 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 Think it's all about sex, money, and power. Think it's all about sex, money, power.
Hello, with the after show, I'm Mood Gallifrey.
Sage Murray, also sorry.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, we record the after shows at the end of every recording session when we are up to our fucking eyeballs in alcohol. So,
kind of tired now.
yeah. So
I'm tired too.
Our goddess Valhalla has made a request.
We love her.
She wants a holy symbol, something simple, something minimalistic, something that she can request her followers draw or tattoo on themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, so come up with a simple design that you think embodies and symbolizes
The spirit of Valhalla.
Yes,
And remember how much you love her.
and the cult and the children of Valhalla, her cult.
OVPod cult.
Yeah, send this in by the end of June 2019, and we will judge it in July.
We will.
Yeah. And again, winner gets a free t-shirt and, of course, the everlasting praise of knowing that your holy symbol is held in high regard by the goddess Valhalla.
Yeah. Yep. She is super stoked on this.
Yes. Yes, and I think she deserves it because she's done a lot of blessings in her lives. We have, at the time of recording, I mean, a lot of patrons that are helping pay our bills and helping push us forward, and we have, thousands of people that are listening to us. So I think her blessings are heaping down upon us.
I met her once. She's very nice.
Yes, I believe you. Didn't you?
I know her quite well.
I polka'd with her.
Yes, you polka'd with a goddess.
I did.
Man, that's some Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have Game of Thrones on the mind.
That's what she said.
The last episode, I think, gave me legitimate trauma. I know. There's a lot of... Yeah. Anyway. You'll understand if you've seen it. Okay, so... so submit a holy symbol by the end of June 2019. Make it simple, make it memorable, make it embodying the goddess Valhalla.
Make it super cool.
Oh, yeah. Something that can be remembered, and we will slap it on t-shirts, we will slap it on our skin, and it will become the holy symbol for our cult. Because remember, the real goal of this podcast is to build a world-conquering cult together, step by step.
Yeah, that's clearly the goal of the podcast.
You'll get extra points from me if your symbol includes Roman numerals.
Ooh, there you go. And the three of us are all going to be judging, so if you want some extra points from Leon, include Roman numerals.
I'm not sure what would give me extra points. I'll just let you guess.
Alrighty.
Probably dicks.
So submit a high-quality JPEG, something clear, to ovfeedback@gmail.com.
Or sagemarieov@gmail.com.
Yeah, or oodgallifreyov@gmail.com.
I'm sure that...
Don't bother emailing me. I don't check it.
Yeah. Leon sucks.
Yeah, and we will judge it, and I'll come up with some bullshit table...
a rubric. We need a rubric.
I'll come up with some rubric to judge holy symbols, and we'll find out the holy symbol of Val.
Fantastic.
All right. With the after show, I'm Ood Gallifrey.
Good Murray.
Leon Filger.
Love you. Bye.
Good night.